Before Amina turned 10, life was tender and golden. She had a mother whose laughter filled their small house like sunlight. Mama Zainab was a gentle woman, known for her calm spirit and the way she tied her wrappers so neatly that the village women often teased her about it. "Zainab, you should be teaching us fashion." They'd laugh, and she would just smile shyly. To Amina, her mother was everything: warmth, protection, the voice that whispered prayers over her at night. But then the illness came. A cough that wouldn't stop, a fever that worsened, and before anyone could understand what was happening, Zainab was gone. Amina was only 10. That day, the world seemed to collapse. She remembered sitting on the mat beside her mother's body, too shocked to cry, her small hands clutching the edge of the wrapper as if tugging it would bring her back. Her father, Musa, a tall, broad-shouldered man with eyes that looked older than his years, tried to be strong. But grief makes people do strange things. Within months, he remarried. The woman's name was Ngozi, a widow from the village who already had 2 daughters, Amarachi, 12, and Efioma, 8. The neighbors whispered. "Too soon," they said. He just buried his wife. But Musa told himself he was doing the right thing. Amina was a little girl, motherless and vulnerable. She needed a woman's care. He convinced himself that Ngozi would fill that role. Ngozi arrived like a queen. She was strikingly beautiful, her skin a deep bronze that shone under the sun, her body full and commanding. She had a smile that could charm the elders in the marketplace, but behind that smile was a sharpness that cut deep when she chose. At first, she pretended to be kind. She called Amina "my daughter" in public, and the girl, desperate for affection, clung to her hope. But the pretense lasted only weeks. Barely 1 month after the wedding, Musa received an opportunity of a lifetime. A friend abroad arranged for him to travel to the United States for work. It was supposed to be for just a few years. He told himself he would build a better life for his family, then return. The night before he left, he knelt beside Amina's bed. "My daughter," he whispered, his hand stroking her hair, "be strong. I will send money every month. Ngozi will take care of you." Amina nodded silently, though her heart clenched. She watched him leave the next morning, watched the dust rise behind the car that carried him away. She didn't know then that it would be 10 long years before she saw him again. As soon as Mouse's plane was in the air, Ngozi's smile vanished. Her voice, once sweet, grew sharp like a blade. She began to divide the household. Her daughters, Amarachi and Efioma, were treated like princesses. Amarachi, already tall for her age, was loud and boastful. She loved fine things: shoes, bangles, ribbons for her hair. Efioma, younger but sharper with her tongue, had a mischievous streak. Together, they made life a living hell for Amina. Ngozi didn't hide her favoritism. When Mouse's money arrived, she bought her daughters new clothes, bright Ankara gowns, sandals, and beads. Amina was given nothing but faded, oversized dresses from the second-hand market. Her hair was left unkempt, often tied back in rough plaits that made her scalp hurt. At night, Amarachi and Efioma slept on a large bed covered in soft sheets. Amina? She was pushed to the corner of the room, forced to sleep on a thin mattress on the floor that smelled of dampness. Mosquitoes feasted on her skin, and she often woke up with bites all over her arms and legs. But worse than the neglect were the accusations. Whenever something went missing in the house, a spoon, a wrapper, a few naira notes, it was Amina who was blamed. Ngozi would glare at her with eyes like hot coal. "You thief! After all I feed you in this house, you still steal from me." Amina would shake her head, tears brimming. "I didn't take it, Mama." Before she could finish, a slap would sting her cheek. Amarachi and Efioma would snicker in the background. If a cup broke, Amina was accused. If the lantern ran out of kerosene, Amina was accused. If the soup finished too quickly, Amina was dragged outside and beaten with a broomstick while neighbors peeped through their windows, whispering, "She suffers too much." But what can we do? Her father is abroad. Amina endured it all in silence. She had no one to defend her. The years crawled by. At school, Amina was quiet, always sitting in the back with her hand-me-down uniforms that hung loosely on her frame. She was smart, but she rarely spoke up. Teachers noticed her withdrawn nature, but when they asked, she only smiled faintly. At home, her chores never ended. She scrubbed floors until her knees ached, fetched water under the scorching sun, cooked meals she barely tasted, and washed the clothes of her stepmother and sisters while her own clothes tore at the seams. She grew up fast, her innocence eroded by hardship. But she also developed resilience. Her eyes, once round and naive, now held a quiet depth. She learned how to endure hunger, how to hide her tears, how to survive in silence. By 19, Amina had become a striking young woman. Her suffering had not dimmed her beauty, it had carved it into something rare. She was slender, graceful, with smooth brown skin and eyes that seemed to tell 1,000 stories. But her heart carried scars invisible to the world. Ngozi's plan. By now, Ngozi's daughters were blossoming too. Amarachi, 21, was full-bodied, with a loud laugh and a love for attention. Ifeoma, 19 like Amina, was sharp-featured and cunning. Ngozi spared no expense on them, dreaming of rich suitors who would lift them into higher society. But for Amina, she had no such plans. To her, the girl was nothing but a burden. Suitors had come knocking, men who noticed Amina's quiet beauty, but Ngozi either turned them away rudely or quoted bride prices so high that the men fled. One evening, as she sat with her daughters, Ngozi revealed her scheme. "That girl has eaten my food for too long. She is not my child, and I will not waste my husband's money on her. There is a young farmer in the next village looking for a wife. Poor boy, but he will do. I will give her to him." Amarachi clapped her hands, laughing. "Perfect. Let her go and suffer with her poor farmer. She has always looked like a maid anyway." Ifeoma added with a smirk, "Maybe she will finally stop disturbing us with her ugly clothes." They all laughed, except Amina, who stood silently in the corner, her heart sinking. The next morning, Ngozi called her. "Pack your things. You are getting married." Amina froze. "Married? To who?" "To a farmer named Chiki. You should thank your stars anyone even wants you." Tears filled Amina's eyes. "But Baba doesn't know." Ngozi's hand landed hard across her face. "Do not mention your father. Do you want me to start writing letters to America before you leave this house?" "Foolish girl, get your things." Amarachi and Ifeoma giggled from the doorway, watching as Amina, trembling, packed her small bag of belongings, just a few threadbare dresses, a scarf, and her mother's old prayer beads. When Chiki arrived, he looked exactly like the rumors described. A simple young man, only 21, with rough hands, a faded shirt, and worn slippers. His eyes, however, were kind, and his voice soft. Amina followed him out of the compound, her steps heavy, while her stepmother and stepsisters stood smirking behind her. To them, it was the perfect end, the unwanted girl, married off to a poor farmer. They didn't know they had just handed her to her destiny. When Amina reached Chiki's hut, she was braced for more cruelty. She expected harsh words, endless labor, and indifference. Instead, she found something different. That night, when she hesitated to sleep on his bed, Chiki gently laid a mat for himself and said, "Rest well. You deserve peace." The words struck her like a miracle. She blinked at him, unsure if she heard correctly. No one had spoken to her like that in years. In the following days, she saw more of his gentleness. He never raised his voice, never accused her unfairly, never treated her like property. He asked her how she was feeling, whether she was hungry, whether she needed rest. And slowly, Amina began to feel something she hadn't felt since her mother's death. Safety. What she didn't know was that Chiki was not what he seemed. Behind the faded clothes and rough hands lay a secret big enough to shake her world. And that revelation was still to come.